For many in Clare, the St Stephen's Day walk is as much a part of Christmas as the turkey and the ham and the trimmings, but at the Shannon Athletic Club track, those steps go a lot further. For the second time this year, the club is hosting the Goal Mile, a tradition that spans many years and supports humanitarian aid in some of the world's most vulnerable regions. So whether you're a seasoned sprinter or just looking to shake off the Christmas dinner with a family stroll, the track is open to everyone. And to tell us about the event and how Goal's work impacts lives from the Middle East to Latin America, I'm joined on the line now by Rob Stephen, the person behind the Goal Mile. Rob, good to speak with you. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Good morning, Alan. Happy Christmas to you.
And same to yourself. So the Shannon Athletics Club hosting the Goal Mile again this year. No doubt the club is very proud to be involved in such a, pardon the pun, long-running tradition.
It's great. I mean, it's great to join up. Like, there's about 200 communities around the country doing a Goal Mile over the Christmas period. So it's great to be part of it. Like last year, we had our first one, which was a great success. I think we had over 100 people, and we raised, I think, €1,600 last year. So we're hoping this year to get a bigger crowd down. You know, I think the weather's looking good. So hopefully we'll have a big crowd out, and we'll try and raise a bit more than we did last year, you know. So we're looking forward to it.
I mean, such an important fundraiser, but before we kind of delve into that further, Rob, the community aspect, I'm just thinking earlier on we were chatting about the Christmas Day swim for the Little Blue Heroes initiative in Lahinch, and how, you know, up to 1,000 people can turn up on Christmas afternoon to take part in that swim, and it's very much a tradition and brings the local community together. Does the Goal Mile have a similar impact in Shannon?
It's a similar kind of event. I suppose it's not really, you know, it's a mile kind of event. It's really kind of a walk. Some people run. Some of our kind of athletes might run a bit, but most people just kind of turn up for a walk. And we do kind of 2 laps around our track there. And then we have a cup of tea afterwards, or a bit of hot chocolate. There's a bit of mulled wine, non-alcoholic mulled wine that we have afterwards. So people kind of gather, I suppose, after Christmas. You know, it's nice to get out in the fresh air. But you mentioned the community aspect of it, like, so that's the big thing, because, you know, Christmas can be hard for some people. So it's actually quite nice just to go out, you know, even if people have been on their own, they go out and they can meet some people. And funny enough, like last year, there was a lady there who came along, and just by chance, she met somebody who she knew in London many years ago, who happened to be back visiting in Shannon, and they hadn't seen each other for years and years. So it was wonderful to witness something like that, you know, when two friends kind of reconnect after many years, you know. So that's an important part of these kind of events. It's really getting people out, mixing, integrating, getting to know your neighbours, and, you know, people and visitors who might be back, you know, for the Christmas period, you know, back visiting family and friends. So we're looking forward to it. You know? Yeah,
it sounds like there'll be a lot of kind of good spirits around the event on the day. I mentioned what the Goal Mile does, Rob, and maybe you'll expand on that a little bit further. For over 45 years that it's been going and supporting humanitarian aid in some of the world's most vulnerable regions. How does Goal's work impact on lives, as I say, from be it the Middle East, Latin America, Africa and other places?
Yeah, so last year I think they raised 750,000 through the Goal Miles throughout Ireland. And like what Goal does is Goal is really focused towards kind of disaster areas and, you know, that kind of, you know, disaster relief kind of zones, more so than, you know, long-term development. So Goal will be active in places like Gaza, you know, South Sudan. You know, the likes of South Sudan would be, you know, people are familiar now with, you know, I think it was 41 years ago when Live Aid was happening, and we saw the scenes in Ethiopia. So South Sudan would be kind of in a similar situation to that now, with, you know, drought, you know, starvation, people living on the edge. And it's conditions like that where Goal really help, because they're helping on the ground in you know, refugee camps, that kind of stuff, getting people, you know, water, you know, nutrition, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, shelter in terms of tents and whatnot. And I suppose, you know, that I'm not sure the origins of the Goal Mile, but I guess the thinking behind it was to have it at a time when we in Ireland, you know, where we live in a very safe kind of country, really, in comparison. You know, most of us have a roof over our head. We have a nice warm place to live. We're surrounded by friends and family and food at Christmas especially, and it's quite nice, I suppose, to do something in solidarity with the people in the world who just are living on the margins and on the edge, and, you know, to maybe spare a thought, you know, whilst we're enjoying our own festivities and our life of excess, I suppose, around Christmas, you know, spare thoughts for those people who basically have nothing, you know. So that's where the money that's raised goes. It goes to support troops on the ground that really help, change people's lives and keep people alive. I think, some of the, if you deal with, young babies who if they're malnourished, they can, they can deteriorate very, very rapidly. So, Goal has, very highly nutritious kind of bars that they would, supply to feed children to at least get them over the hump, if you like, so that they don't, suffer too badly,
Yeah, so I mean,
that's where the money goes,
Yeah, you've explained very well how important Goal Mile is and the great work that Goal do, and hopefully a lot of money will be raised through the Goal Mile initiative at Shannon Athletic Club on Stephen's Day. Important to note, this isn't just for athletes. Anyone of any age or ability can take part.
Anyone can come along, yeah. I mean, lots of people kind of register online at goalmile.org. But we'd encourage people just to show up on the day. They can throw a few coins in a bucket. They can donate online. They can tap or scan a QR code to make a donation. And I mean, ours is on at 11 o'clock on Stephen's Day, but there's also ones on up in Kilnady as well at 11:30 on Stephen's Day. And there's a couple on Christmas Day as well. Like there's one actually in Ennis there in Tim Smith Park on Christmas Day at 10 o'clock on the old fair green. They'll be doing a few laps of the track there. And there's one up in Cratlow Woods as well at 10 o'clock on Christmas morning, and also in Clonlara at 9 o'clock in the morning. So there's plenty of opportunity for people all across the county to get out, stretch their legs, meet some friends, throw a few bob in a bucket for a good cause, and enjoy the occasion. So and the funny thing, like in Shannon, we're actually trying to build a new kind of 400-metre 8-lane track. So we recently applied for planning permission for that. So hopefully, maybe, please God, in 2 or 3 years' time, instead of us doing, 2 laps of our kind of muddy kind of path around the edge, we can do 4 laps of a nice, fine new sprint, 400-metre track.
Yeah,
would be wonderful,
Hopefully. So, just to finish then, Rob, how can people register to take part on Stephen's Day?
So people can either go to goalmile.org and they can register, and basically what they should do is they should find a location that they want to take part in, and the reason for that is so that each location knows how much they raised collectively, from that particular location. Or alternatively, just go to the location and participate, and there's always, every location that's taking part would have a bucket there or a QR code that you can scan to make an online donation. So it's very easy. Couldn't be easier,
Okay,
and you get a
brilliant
cup of tea. Most places will give you a cup of tea and a cup of coffee afterwards, so a chance to mingle with your neighbours and catch up and with who, what from Santa and whatnot.
Yeah, should be a feel-good event that's going to do a lot for the people helped by Goal. Rob Stephen, who's involved with that at Shannon Athletic Club, thank you very much for joining us on Morning Focus.